I was asked to introduce myself. My name is William Paul. I was born in Thompson, Georgia, in the wonderful year of 1952, June 23rd. Since that time, I was raised there in the country and worked out in the field. My dad was amputee and a paraplegic, but was a very good man, and my mother as well raised 6 kids in an old shack. We had the outhouses and everything, so it's always not the way you start the race, it's the way you finish it. But one thing, we kept God first in everything that we did. Dad wanted to stay alive until all the kids finished high school, and we did. Once we finished high school, and in my particular case, both of my brothers, we joined the military to serve this country. I joined the United States Air Force in the Vietnam crisis, and I was doing the civil rights movement, where they're calling us all kinds of names, but still yet we believe in this country. By believing in this country, my oldest brother joined the United States Marine, stayed 11 years during the Vietnam crisis. God protected him. My baby brother joined the United States Army, and I joined the United States Air Force as mentioned. We all are patriotic Americans. As we move forward, I had to go through many things, be homeless, and also one thing, I believe that with God on your side, there's no way that you can be defeated. I was able to finish up nursing school and become an LPN. Worked at Crawford W. Long and advanced quickly. I was in charge of orthopedic, craniotomy, surgical, and medical wards. After a lady got sick and my credibility was there, they allowed me to do those things. I was able to work with all types of patients, from cysto to medical, surgical, and many more. But again, my academic background, I was a DF student all the way through high school and gotten socially promoted. And of course, I was what we call an athlete. I was the most valuable player in football, only played 1 year. But as I went forward, when I joined the military, I managed to get an overall E, excellent, and they shipped me over to Mountain Home Air Force Base. I reduced the racial tension, that's what they said, by providing opportunities for companionship and to get rid of the racism and many others. They said the tension went down from 10 to 2%. We found a way of busing individuals back and forth. And because of that, God works it out that I got out on Palace Chase to continue my education. The great man of General Clark was able to allow me to get out on Palace Chase. I went there and went on to work there at St. Luke's St. Luke's Hospital in Boise, Idaho. Played a little football at Boise, Idaho, and went on to the University of Minnesota, Duluth. At that time, I created a few sports as it relates to women's boxing. I was able to start a homecoming queen because I wanted African Americans to become a homecoming queen at a university. Well, of course, we had white individuals and others, and they beat the blacks one out. But again, we gave equality. We had them to run the football and pass the football and run the half a mile. It was a wonderful homecoming in 1975. We went on to the University of Minnesota, and I did the same thing there. As we was with Tony Dungy and the football team, Jones and Mark Trussman, many others with the Gophers, we had them to vote on their queen. After the women had ran the half a mile and through the football, the distance, then they have a chance. 7 was broken down to go before the football team and let them vote on their queen since they're playing the game. So in other words, they had a little comical thing in the daily, that the newspaper there at the university, that these women, they was proven by their skills and their endurance. So we want them to be an opportunity for all women to participate based on what the football season program is all about. Now, with that in mind, we went forward and we set up the after-school program. We got it licensed in 1977, received provisional license in 1976, called the United Evening Education Enhancement Program in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on the campus. With that, we created the program, put it together, and was able to help mothers who were disadvantaged individuals that wanted after-school program, and we created it, and the first one to be licensed. Barrett Peterson with CBS and Susan Spencer did a feature story back then, and it caught on nationally. So we believe that we're the only one that had an after-school program licensed by the state to operate as a licensed daycare center, and that was in 1976 and 1977. In 1977, we started up again what we call women boxing. And at that particular time, we went forward to 1978 and had our first tournament, and also under the AAU. In 1979, we was able to go forward to the national AAU at Caesar Palace there in Nevada, sent Maylene Stone, Novak, and Judy Clammer, who we had gotten appointed as a commissioner. The first commissioner was appointed, female, there in Minnesota by Governor Perpich, and we had the Republicans and Democrats to get behind that and make it happen in order that we can give these women some equality. So with that, they could not fight on a amateur level, but it had to be on a professional. We wanted to do something about it because I truly believe that it's a very cruel sport, but still yet let's offer some protection if they are to participate. So with that, we was able to start the first search as it relates to breast trauma, as it relates to breast cancer, in other words, and that was done in 1978 and 79 and up for 10 years, meaning that they received funding through biomechanics with Dr. Leon Stoner there at the University of Minnesota campus, in which I put the team together. And in other words, to research and see whether or not it is conclusive that breast trauma causes breast cancer. Also, I came up with the first breast protector, and it was air cushion in order to absorb the blow, but we needed more scientific facts behind it. We was told that we did the first international search. Afterwards, the AAU did approve the AAU as, women boxing as an ally body of the United States AAU. Unanimously, they voted, and we wrote the rules, regulation, and provided the bylaws and all, and they voted for it unanimously November 1979. Then on to the university, on to Georgia. I worked in Georgia Department of Industry and Trade, and also the Governor's Office and Fulton County Office of Economic Development, which include Atlanta, Georgia. In the Governor's Office, I set up Georgia State Center for Health Statistics, the first African American to have a center set up. I had it placed in the Department of Public Health in 1980-81. Then we went on and first African American to ever work in what we call Georgia Department of Industry and Trade, and to become an industrial representative. Went on to Fulton County, Atlanta Office of Economic Development. Worked there as the economic planner manager and was bringing in industry into the state of Georgia. Of course, both jobs was with international and domestic companies. Then God had an opportunity to ascertain my attention. I met a man there at Apostle Leon, and he told me about my future. He told me that I would be traveling all over the country spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. But in this case, it would be in economics. I did not understand that because the man looked like a hobo, and I had a nice suit on, working for the county. And with that in mind, he told me all these things that I have experienced. So with that was the formation of the Ministry of Economic Development. He asked wherever I go, ask who's Melchizedek. Today I've been all over this country. We have set up over 15,000 501c3s to help folks to deal with this community, or your community, or in other words, our community. We have done over 200,000 classes as it relates to individuals in the classes of taking professional grant writing to understand how to write grants, terminology such as programs, goals, objective, methodology, desired results, and also outcome, and how to put a budget together. We believe that, especially in our community, African American, that we need to deal with this complex society, and God wants us to have economic parity. So I went around to churches throughout America, and 99% of all the activities have been with African Americans and in churches, thousands upon thousands in every state. God provided all the income. We did not have to borrow anything or receive any governmental funding. Today and time, I have had an opportunity to see in fruition the women's boxing become that of an Olympic sport in 2012, using the rules and regulations of the things that we put together back in 1978. So I have just given you a brief summary of my life, but it's not over with yet. The best is yet to come. Thank you.